what have been some of the most shocking findings of the reports that you've been doing?
Nobody is talking about a significant portion of the population which may have invisible disabilities. We have this great framework, right? The Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act. But yet the implementation remains poor. We have this wonderful framework, but how can we make it better? Parents and caregivers, more often than not, do not have any idea about what are their rights and entitlements, right?
Hello, and a very warm welcome to The Seat at the Table, a podcast series brought to you specially by Jai Vakil. My name is Mugdha Kalra. I have a child who's not a child anymore. He is 15, a teenager. He is autistic, neurodiverse. And a part of A Seat at the Table is also to talk about this neurodiverse world. We talk about inclusion. We make you meet change makers like Damini Ghosh. I'll tell you a little more about Damini. But the idea of this podcast is to talk about inclusion, what can make our world a better place. I bring you stories of self-advocates. And today we have Damini. Damini is part of Vidhi Legal. It is a legal think tank. And we call them our allies because a lot of work that Vidhi has been doing has been for parents like me, for people like us, in the space of neurodiversity, in the space of disability. Enough said and mock. So Damini, first of all, thank you for all the wonderful work that you do.
Thank you, Mugdha.
Today, you presented, your team presented a paper on what are the legal rights, what are the policies that are already available to our janta, you know?
Yes.
But there is a flaw in implementation. I do want to talk to you about, first, why the interest? We are very happy for it. But also, what have been some of the most shocking findings of the reports that you've been doing?
Okay. So, first of all, thank you for that question in terms of why the interest. And not many people have asked me that. So, I'm a career corporate commercial lawyer, did a few things here and there, focused on government engagement works without really worrying about the practice area. It's just that in the last 3-4 years, I have moved into this space. And the reason for that was that it was there in my mind somewhere over last 20 years.
Yeah.
There was an incident in my family and how it impacted the person involved and how it impacted the rest of us, the caregivers. And that sort of shaped the way the family functioned. So a time came in my life where I felt that, okay, all this work is all well and good, but I want to use my ability and skill set as a lawyer and the platform which Vidhi gives me to really see if I can work in disability law and policy. So that was the reason why one fine day I said, okay, I want to work in this space. And this was in 2020-21. And initially, our focus was just something very seemingly basic, that how are our cities designed. And that's one of our original reports on accessibility. And it was a very general report on how our cities designed, keeping in mind persons with disabilities. And that's what led to the start of it. And soon after we met you, because one of the findings, and this is where I would like to address your second question, that some of the shocking findings were that when we are talking about disability, nobody is doing a deep dive into what the disability is. We are still thinking about ramps, we are thinking about Braille, but there is some conversation about tech, but nobody is talking about a significant portion of the population which may have invisible disabilities.
Yeah.
And that's when we reached out to you to understand how are our current laws and policies actually dealing with them. Are they even talking about it? And we found references here and there. And that's what led to our second series of work, which was on accounting for invisible disabilities in cities. So, and slowly, Mugdha, what we felt was that as the work on accessibility continued, we as an organization also felt that access, yes, is a prerequisite to exercise any kind of right under the right Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act. But what goes hand in hand for, true empowerment, true inclusion is also education. And that is when, along with accessibility, we started working in the education space as well. We had some legacy work on all these aspects through a disability lens, but it was limited. But then we took a conscious call that no, this is something we want to focus on as an organization. It should not be that, okay, we are drafting a law on health and suddenly we thought about disability later. It has to be disability as it is should be structured as a horizontal which works across practice areas at Medi, and that's how this team was formally set up. And my colleagues earlier shared about the education work, and broadly, Mugdha, one very important realization that we had as lawyers was that we had this great framework, right? The Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act. But yet the implementation remains poor. And
Maharashtra itself, it hasn't been implemented.
It hasn't been implemented, right? So whichever lens you look at it from, whether it is health or early intervention or judicial reforms, the implementation is poor. And that's when we really started thinking about that our job cannot end at just looking at the parent statute. What are we doing about it afterwards? Can we really push ourselves a little bit more to see that can law continue to play a role in implementation? And that is why we felt that our mission as a practice area would be that how can we use law as a catalyst to improve implementation of this framework? We have this wonderful framework, but how can we make it better? And at the same time, we felt that for implementation to be truly better, one is a push that comes through the legislation or what is encoded in law and policy. But if the persons responsible for reading it and implementing it, which is your decision makers, your implementation agencies, don't know about it, then the implementation will not happen. So we felt that there was also a case for sort of bringing in a component of legal awareness within implementation agencies and decision makers to help build that capacity a little bit more in terms of what their roles and responsibilities are under law. So this is broadly the work that we have been doing it in the disability space.
Wonderful to hear that at least there is somebody who is looking at the frameworks and the legalities of implementing those frameworks, or why then they don't seem to be in place in the first place. Because honestly, parents don't find that time, because a lot of times you are handling just way too much to actually educate yourself about your own rights and your own, the laws that are supporting you. So my other question is that when a parent is refused admission or is asked to make accommodations that the school is not making, and the parent has to make those accommodations, or have been refused either admission or entry or accommodation in a school, it doesn't automatically click that I have rights that support.
Yes.
That will stand by me and that will support me. What do you suggest for organizations like Jai Vakil? What would you suggest to parent groups that support other parents? How do we best educate ourselves about the laws and the policies that are available for us? Where do we easily find them? And if we are finding trouble, who are the people we go to complain?
So that's a very valid concern, Mugdha, because I think one of the other findings which we've had during the course of the research was that parents and caregivers, you're right, more often than not, do not have any idea about what are their rights and entitlements, right?
Yeah.
So the school is saying something, or some government officer is saying something, or a medical authority is saying something, and you're just sort of going around, in circles. But nobody's actually stopping to think for a second, hey, this doesn't seem intuitively correct. So how should I move forward? So that was why we felt even within the practice area, within the disability practice area, that a lot of our role and a lot of our work now has been that how can we bring in that component of legal awareness to our parents, to our caregivers, or even to young adults with disabilities. Can we, and here I'm mostly talking about, setting out rights and entitlements under the RPWDA or under various schemes which are there. Our team recently collaborated with a couple of organizations who had a good network of parents and caregivers, and to simply tell them what are the legal rights and remedies, where can you find this information. Sometimes all the parents want is a link de do, so we can click on it, from there we can take it forward, you know. But I can understand the daily, there's so much to handle on a daily basis, so that nobody is going to sit and Google it, right? So sometimes the help is just that basic, in a way. Yeah. So that was one part of it. And so I think that is something which we are actively focusing on. And we believe that's an integral part towards implementation. Right. It's one thing to build capacity of decision makers and implementation agencies, but at the same time to empower parents and caregivers. And even with our education work, we've tried to do it with the school ecosystem. That, talk to school heads, school administrators, to tell them, hey, these are your obligations under the RPWDA. So, RT Act says something, but there is a very clear mandate of inclusive education. So, so this is what your responsibility is. And similarly, even to tell teachers that, okay, there is a lot of responsibility which you have to look into, but can you at least do this much? Can you just do this much? This is what you're required under the law. And we hope that by constantly doing this, we are able to have some sort of a mindset shift. Because at the end, Mugdha, we can talk about policies and laws, but the thing is, aapka inclusion tabhi hoga when there is that mindset shift. The two go hand in hand.
Yeah. Before I let you go, Damini, I want to know, there are legal frameworks in place. There are rules, regulations, there are laws, and what is being told to us is that we as a country have some of the best ones.
Yes.
In your study, what have you found out? Why is it not getting implemented on ground?
So there are quite a few reasons for that, Mugdha. Data.
Okay.
Lack of data. Our data points are completely off. So there's in the absence of data, policy decisions, policy choices become a bit difficult.
Of course.
Then apart from data, budget as a consequence goes hand in hand.
All right.
Then there is also an issue of, disability, as I told you earlier, is a horizontal, right? So it is actually cross-cutting. It will. So and why I'm bringing that up is that in terms of implementation, आपका जो governance framework है, so there is one department at the center which is there, but for that department to do anything, it has to constantly coordinate with, say, Health Ministry, with Ministry of Education, with
endless loop.
It's an endless loop. That department on its own cannot do it. It has to coordinate with 10 other departments to execute, and that is only at the national level. Then a lot of the mandate of disability comes to your state governments and local authorities, right? Aapka accessibility of buildings comes down to municipal authorities, right? Then health is a state subject, so there are state governments involved. So if you really see, there is constant flux at the level of at the national level as well as from national, state to municipal level. So who is taking the responsibility, right? So there are too many overlaps. So some things get left behind and some things will maybe slip through the cracks. So and consequently the legal framework is also very complicated. There's a lot going on because there's so many things which are happening at the same time. So and this leads to a problem of accountability nahi hai. Who is doing what? Who are we holding responsible, right? So it is a bunch of these problems apart from the fact that what is the capacity of the officer who is sitting there? Now, in my experience, the senior most bureaucrat will say, yes, ma'am, this is great, we must do it. But by the time I'm done meeting the junior most officer, the will has kind of We need it.
Correct.
And I've seen that mostly you have to find that champion in the government, which I was talking about earlier, who may have a lived experience, who can, who's seen that, who has that kind of empathy.
Right.
Only then that, these things actually work towards implementation, because disability is very low in terms of priority, unfortunately.
Huh.
So lots of things going on at a systemic level.
Yeah. So the last question really is, as parents, as caregivers, what can we do better? Because we have understood that we can't completely depend on the government. We can't completely depend on even the legal system, because, they have made the laws, but the implementation is failing somewhere. We also know that we have only the bandwidth where we want the best for our child. So if we are getting just barely an admission in school with XYZ accommodations that we have to make on our own, the reaction is ki chalo kar lete hain, right? But as somebody who wants things to change, what can we do?
I think, Mugdha, 2 points come to my mind. One is about continuing to be informed. I think it is very, very important for parents to remain informed. I know it is very, very hard because parents have a lot on their plates, right? I think so, but I still feel ki thoda sa bhi agar if you're, a little better informed, it just puts you in a slightly better position when you're taking on somebody.
Even to argue, even to present your case.
Because I feel ki if you are not speaking with that convictions, they'll say, they can immediately sort of clamp down on you, say, Are tumko nahi pata. We don't want to be in that situation. Us, not just for us, but also, not just for our children, but for ourselves, right? We don't want to be.
Yeah.
And second thing which I felt is, and this is based on my personal experience of interacting with so many parents, has been be there for each other. I think, lot of the daily up and down, everything, a lot of it becomes a lot easier when you know there is just somebody you can pick up the phone and talk to.
Support circle.
That support circle. So I feel these are the two things which come to my mind immediately. And yeah, I just wanted to share that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Mugdha, for having me today.
And thank you for being such an ally for the community. Thank
My
you.
pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye-bye.